Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Perkcast, episode 11, which it has a title in progress that I think we're taking Brad's original title away and calling it instead, "What did Brad, the evil genius, come up with this time?" Uh, but it's talking with Brad about the holiday blend. So I'm your host, Andrew Caprell, and I'm here with co-owners of Perk, Alan, and Philip. And we are joined this time by the graphic designer, the evil genius, or at least that's what he claims to be on the way of becoming, Braddy the Baddy. Welcome to the show, Brad.
Thank you.
So we kind of do an open format here. We're going to ask you whatever we want, except for your social security number, which you agreed before the show was too much information. But everything else that was not explicitly stated is on the table. So, Brad, you want to tell us a little bit about your story of how you got involved with Perk?
Yeah, so I started at SCAD here in Savannah, Georgia, back in 2018. I came for illustration and graduated with a degree in illustration. And my last year here, after I came back from being remote for COVID, I was looking for a job, just something part-time. And I was a Perk fanboy from pre-COVID, back when the cafe was in the roastery. And I remember people dancing on the tables while they were packing beans, and Philip sitting in the corner of the room on his computer, like orchestrating the entire show from what seemed like it was like a small operation at the time, but everybody was just having a good time. So I was like, I want to be a part of that. So
I have a picture now of Philip like doing this, and everybody just dancing like it's a musical, and like there's just beans being thrown.
It was like
that's pretty accurate.
The complete opposite of what you would expect a cafe experience to be. It was loud. There was a roaster. They were blasting music. It was pretty similar to what the production room is now, but it was an awesome place to be. So yeah, I applied for a job as a barista, and instead took an interview for a packer position. Met with Taylor as they were installing their brand new Loring a couple years ago, and got the call and got the job. So I packed bags for about 4 months until Brad number one, the previous roaster, departed. And
that's not the name you call your old version of yourself, right?
No. The in the job description for roaster, you had to be a Brad up until
a stalling tactic. We lost you a little bit. I was imagining like maybe there's a Brad version that was like Pokemon.
Oh, maybe
pre-evolved.
Brad 1, like on his card, it just says pack bags. Brad 2.
So yeah, I was interested in roasting, and because the Loring was automated, it was a little easier to learn. So they taught me everything I knew about roasting, and Andres Cardona, who I believe was a special guest on the podcast before, brought in one of his coffees, the Luna Azul and the Red Sunset, and I was like, man, these coffees have such cool names and they taste so dang good that I believe they deserve better packaging. So in my spare time, I was like, hey, I'm gonna take a shot at this, and I did some bags and made some mock-ups and showed Philip during a tasting, and he slowly started to pull me in every now and then to take a look at some things that our previous graphic designers were working on, and was like, what do you think of this? And, how do I say I want this? And I'd help him out, and eventually he started giving me some more tasks, and it led to a full-fledged role as the graphic design wizard is the official title.
That's right.
Braddy the Baddy. Which yes. I think your email actually is something like that, Braddy the Baddy.
Yeah, it has. Brad is not in my email. It's just Baddy.
It's just Baddy.
Yeah,
that's the full level 3.
We're still waiting on his hat and his robe, but they'll get here soon, I'm sure.
COVID shipping logistics. They got lost in the mail somewhere.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Being able to come. Even just experiencing the full level of the coffee, right? From consumer to putting it in bags to now designing the packaging and really crafting the brand alongside Philip. But like that is at least from my point as a consumer, that is your first experience with Perk, especially on the webs. Maybe retail. There's well, you have your hands in the retail side too, right?
Anything that has graphics or pictures or colors or sometimes words now. But yeah, no, like you said, it was a really awesome experience to kind of become familiar with the culture of the people who worked here before getting to take on this position, because I think that was just what gave me a deeper understanding of knowing the vibes of what we wanted Perk to look like and feel like for our customers, and being able to communicate that was just easier having been here for a while.
Yeah, it's been an awesome transition, and also from the perspective of someone who has obviously been at the company for quite a while, but has worked with a few different folks in this capacity. It's also so nice to be able to to not be working with somebody that is sort of that somebody who works for the company. So I believe that Brad should touch basically anything external that comes out of the company, so that it looks and feels and has that touch of what it's the way it's supposed to be, and has and when you're working with somebody who is just charging you by the hour. It can be a little bit difficult because you have these sort of discrete projects, but then you're like, well, I have this thing, and it just, I don't know. It's so much easier just to have somebody who is completely invested in the brand the way that the rest of us are, and is in lockstep with what we want to do and how we want it to present it.
Yeah, and then so thinking about the brand generally, and maybe just I might misunderstand some of the history. So if you didn't create something, let me know. But I think like the first thing I remember is kind of this octopus and panther being on the Wild and Mild and Wild respectively, and kind of these characters that you've created now. And depending on how closely you follow Perk, I feel like there's kind of a story evolving. You know, you have them feature in Halloween. There's some holiday stuff with the octopus. How did you come up with those, or if they were already created, how did you kind of think about changing those around?
So like I said, I've been following Perk for quite a while now, and way before I ever even worked here, I had all these questions like, why is Perk named Perk? And so like learning all the tidbits about like actually it was Panther's eye, and then like getting to see things around the shop. Like there was a previous artist who had done a printmaker who had done a rendition of an octopus playing the drums, kind of like a representation of Philip having his hand in everything. I pulled lots of the imagery from the history of Perk, and it just so happened that when we were creating a new bag system, I had already done these illustrations and design elements like the peach and the octopus and the panther for my first big project was winter merch last year. And it kind of just aligned, and I was like, well, the panther, is about the history of how Perk started, and we're all about doing the crazy coffees, and it's this like ferocious beast, so it's the wildest of the bunch. Like the octopus could have his hand in everything, and I was like, for some reason an octopus just feels like he listens to smooth jazz, or like he's the mild one out of the bunch. And the peach, is just a reference to the fact that we're a Georgia company, and I had drawn it split in half, not even thinking about the fact that, like something cut in half is like two balanced pieces. So it became kind of the in between two.
Yeah, like the Georgia version of a yin and a yang, the bottom and top.
Exactly. That's how I put it all the time.
That's cool. So then those started about 2 years ago? Is that?
We're coming full circle, just about a year, a little over a year now. The bags, the system that we created launched at the beginning of this year, but it was in the works for quite a while before we reached the end point.
All right. So then getting now kind of with that basic understanding, let's come to the holiday.
Yeah.
What is it? The Frost Gobbler
Yes.
of this year. So this one I don't recognize as a history of Perk. So where did this idea? I mean, I love the Frost Gobbler, but so where did this inspiration come from? Or tell me anything you want about the Frost Gobbler. It's all on the table except for your social security number.
Yeah, well, luckily it's printed very tiny on the inside of the box, so you have to go looking for it. No, just messing. Yeah, so we, in the history of Perk Holiday Blend, as far as I'm aware, we've had a couple mascots in the past, and we try not to be too specific in referencing one holiday around winter season. So we've had the Yeti in the past, and previously we've had the Narwhal as well. And so thinking in that same vein of winter figures, gingerbread men were non-specific to a holiday, and so were Frosty the Snowman, or the Frost Gobbler in our case. And I was a character designer, so I loved orchestrating scenes, and it kind of just came to me in a fever dream. I really don't have an explanation as to the how or the why.
Well, I remember when, like, at least when Brad first let me in on kind of the direction he was moving for it, and we knew we wanted to do something very different from the Narwhal, and we knew the Yeti was enjoying his retirement, so I know he set out to do something very different, and then like he sort of, I think, caught this inspiration and said he wanted to kind of really kind of play on some completely different sort of vibes that you would typically see in holiday packaging, something that was kind of fun and cheeky, but that it was a little bit, I think he described it a little bit as metal, but also just like this kind of like, I think it's a little unsuspecting to think that that this, I guess it's maybe more akin to like, I guess the Abominable Snowman or whatever, but and then so he showed me kind of a sketch of it, and I was like, yes, follow that inspiration, just because it was so different and interesting and exciting, and and it just got better and better. And then we just had to decide what to call the main character, and it was between, I think, Snowzilla and the Frost Gobbler, and Brad really wanted to call him the Frost Gobbler, and I was like, then it's the Frost Gobbler.
Kind of like
the gingerbread people were really fun. Like you had a lot of different ways you can represent them doing things, being scared, being torn in half. I love the idea of the torn in half like person. That's, I don't know. It's just it's really fun, but also I think a little bit just not what you would expect out of a packaging like that. So I thought Brad knocked it out of the park. It's so cool.
You unlocked the first. Oh, go ahead.
It's the first holiday blend that feels Perk. Like the Yeti. So saying this is like one of the original holiday blend super fans. Like since before the web store existed, like this is what I was sending to all of my family as gifts, right? So I love the Yeti, but the Yeti was just kind of like a cute thing that was fun, right? And the Narwhal was also, like, again, it was a fun thing, it was cute, but it like didn't feel as much like Perk as something like this that is
right.
It is a little surprising, it is more rock and roll, and it is maybe a little chaotic, right? But in the best way. And I mean, I think that's maybe the most telling part of it. It's not just that this thing is fun and cool, like in its own right, but it is that while also reflecting kind of the Perk vibes.
Yeah. I really agree with what you just said, Alan, because the Yeti was great, and we had a lot of people really liked the Yeti. But I think that was more of a reflection of that graphic designer and that artist and their work. So if you go and you look at their work, their other works, it really is in line with that Yeti, which is great. But obviously, I think that, like you said, this really represents both Brad's talent, and it really feels like Perk, and I think that's great, because it's something that I think is difficult to do. I think probably as a graphic designer, I would imagine working with owners or whoever the person, your point person is at the company, and I'm certain that I can be difficult to work with. But I think I also push for something that works for what we want. And then I think Brad and I have a pretty darn good relationship. It's fun to work with Brad, and but I also know that, like, I've read and understand sometimes when I'm working with customers who don't know quite as much about coffee as us or me, it's, you kind of have to, it can be a little bit tricky around trying to get what they want, but get what sort of is correct, or making a good thing, the right thing. So I probably am in a little bit of that place when I work with graphic designers. I ask for things and have ideas, and I think, I really love the spirit of collaboration. Like, I think that that's something that's really important for me and important for everyone at Perk, and I think that that's also something outside of, obviously the awesome stuff that Brad comes up with. He's great to collaborate with. He's really easy to talk to. He's really fun, and like, comes up with just, I don't understand. He just constantly comes up with things that are, I have an idea and he comes up with something that's 6 times better than what I thought about, or comes to the table with something and I say, like, oh, that's cool, what if this? And then he's like, and then he just uses that and he's like, oh, I got something way cooler, and shows me something, and I'm just constantly just so excited to open up my emails and see the things he sends, because they're so cool, or to, like, look over his shoulder and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's working on something super cool. I can't wait to see how that fits into everything else.
Yeah, I think the ability to iterate, like, so having Brad specifically, like having you on the team has been incredible. Like, you're the perfect fit for this role. But generally having someone in-house, for you, Philip, to look over their shoulder and collaborate with has been so important. Like, I've had this conversation with so many people, because, so for anyone that doesn't know Philip really well, like, Philip is that person in your life they'll walk up to you and be like, hey, what if we did blank? Or like, hey, I was thinking, like, I've got this idea. And of course it's always like, take a deep breath, like, brace yourself, because this may consume the rest of your week. You never know what's about to come out. And it's usually awesome, right? But
the truest statement I've ever heard.
Totally. So, and when you're dealing with someone outside of the organization, like, that's so much harder to do. To the point that, Philip, I was encouraging you to, like, take night classes at SCAD and like, become a graphic designer, so you could at least, like, action some of these ideas that you have. And yeah, having someone that sits right next to you to just kind of, like, iterate through these things, I think that's so valuable, and it is really fun just seeing that rapid fire back and forth, where, Brad, one of the things you're so talented at is, if you have 6 concepts, it's not like slight variance on one another,
right?
Like, it's this whole crazy array, and then that lets Philip kind of, like, put his finger on, like, well, how about number 2, but what if we did blank, right? And then it spins us off in kind of like a new array within that one. So for me, as not the creative mastermind at all, it's really fun to see that collaboration and how things progress.
Man, this is just, like, fun to hear the back and forth and the idea of the relationship. I mean, it just understanding coffee as more than just, this, what did we call it in episode 1? The brown liquid that you drink and taste whatever. Yeah, there was some definition, but that it's the relationships and the people behind it, and, like, how that can change the perception of the brand or or even the coffee itself, right? Like when I sit down and I have this frost gobbler and I get to drink and look at the frost gobbler, because I don't know, I like to. I've mentioned it before, but I don't remember if it's on the podcast that I like coffee as an experience now and not just like drinking it as I'm working. And so like taking time, and I think the graphic design and kind of the fun spirit that's in it is helps that as a process. It encourages it. I think is probably the best way to phrase that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that the more we can sort of follow the inspirations, and the more we can even look at like even this, like once you have like kind of bigger concepts or bigger ideas fleshed out, and you can start looking at more of the minutia or even the words that are used, all of that, all of those things give the brand texture, and similar to how a person that has substance is interesting and has layers, and I think that giving the brand some of that making it a three-dimensional ish kind of thing with layers. And if you want, it's just like coffee, right? Coffee it's like an onion. I keep finding things to be really excited about, or you learn this about, or you learn these people, or this person that's doing this, or this process, or all of these things, where it's from, or how it made its way from Ethiopia to the New World. All these things you can latch on to. Economics of coffee. There's so many different things. And the same thing, it's all these details. So you can get into it on a cursory level, and you can be given a bag of coffee and throw it in your coffee pot and drink it. And hopefully you're like, wow, that was good. And that's it. And that's great. Or you can keep, getting deeper and deeper to where you read all of my crazy dad jokes on all the web entries and say like, whoever writes this website really cares about the things that we're reading. And I think for me, that's really important, that every chance that anyone has to interact with the brand is considered, is thought out. It's not happenstance. It's not written by AI unless we decide, it's written by me or Brad and or Alan, and I think that those are just all of those bits of context that have character and that are textured is truly important. So that's and I love the fact that we can sort of follow crazy inspirations. I think it's really important. Like sometimes it seems like sometimes it's not even about that particular thing. It's about things that can come up on the journey even, and even figuring out how does that work as Philip and Brad go down like a crazy rabbit hole. It might not be that result that is the most important thing gained out of that trip, right? Like it might just be that Philip and Brad just got to learn how to go down a rabbit hole together. So the next time the rabbit hole comes up, Brad knows what he's getting into. So anyways.
Not like you were saying.
Brad?
Huh?
Oh, sorry, I can't see you on my screen. Can everyone see Brad?
No, he's incognito right now. He keeps his invisibility spell.
Okay, gotcha. No. The cloak came in.
Like you were saying, Philip, and it goes back to how we designed the brand in the first place. Everything that we do is intentional, and it's just another vessel for us to connect our customers with our coffee. It happens in every industry, and that's why I fell in love with graphic design. Is you can have an amazing product that you're really passionate about, but the first impression that you get is similar to alcohol. Like when you go into a liquor store, is the label that's on that bottle or the label that's on that can, and that's how you connect with that customer and continue to educate them beyond that when they bring it home. We've continued to do that with our brew tips cards and making everything feel and look like Perk, and not only excite them about coffee and make it look approachable, but also to continue educating them with it.
Right. Yeah. Like I always say, some people say you can't judge a book by its cover. And I say, no, yes, you can. Yeah. And and the reason is that if you write a good book, it deserves a good cover. Yeah. And somebody should have made sure that book didn't come out without an awesome cover. So somebody failed.
You won't pick up.
May
that
not
book
have been the author,
cover.
but somebody failed, and I am I refuse to be a part of something that somebody lets somebody fail. We all pick up the slack, and somebody's going to help make sure that we have a good cover. I don't know. I like to use metaphors.
So I mean, with Holiday Blend, like of course, the thing that I think everyone gets the most excited about is not even what's in the bag so much as the bag or the box itself. But to your point, what's inside of this packaging totally fits with what's on the outside of it. Like the two kind of go hand in hand. And I don't want to focus too much on the coffee of this, but like the coffee that's in here, it's in fact the only real blend that we have right now, and it's Guatemala and natural Ethiopia, but it's done in a way that I'm about to finish like the last sip of my bag that I've got at the house right now, and I'm like, hesitant to do it because it's so good. It is a crazy approachable coffee. Like it is that flavor profile where it's really rich, it's sweet, it's smooth. Like there's a little bit of interesting stuff happening. Like you get a little pop of brightness from the Guatemala. You get a really nice, sweet, like kind of vaguely fruity finish from the Ethiopia, but like not much. It's just a really nice cup. And like it is at its best, just like thrown into your drip, like auto drip brewer. Like it is a coffee that I 100%, not just envision, but like absolutely personally will be brewing for people, guests at my house, or when I go to someone else's house. Like it, just brew a big batch of it and like share it with people. And if it's their first introduction to Perk, like it is such a crowd pleaser. It's such an easy drinking coffee. Like I would hand it to anyone and be super proud of it. And the same way the packaging is like, it is meant to be that like, hey, welcome to Perk. Like here's the crazy stuff we do. It's, I don't know, the two just fit really well together. And to me, that's so cool to have all the different levels of it work in the same way.
Right. And just to add on to that, I mean, as much energy and effort as taken into everything else was taken into when we came up with the coffee and how we were going to roast it and which coffees were in in the holiday blend. Just because we're not focusing on talking about exactly what is in the bag doesn't mean that same level of effort wasn't taken to accomplish what is in the bag. And that's part of what we were just talking about. It's just like we tasted every coffee we had. And actually, one thing that's interesting is the experimentation we did with dark led us to some of what we did with this coffee, because we did drink each of our coffees at all these different roast levels. And one of the things we found was how Guatemala reacted to this little bit of a darker roast. And it led the inspiration to wanting to build off of that to come up with Holiday Blend. And it's really just cool the way that all of that comes together. And as we've grown and added people to the team in the roasting department and able to free up Taylor to have more time and have these smaller roasters to be able to do smaller batches and experiment with everything each coffee can do. It's been really neat. It's been a real thing of excitement to me, both with Brad and with Andrew, and being able to do the podcast. All this thing, as the brand grows, we're able to add more and more texture because of the people that we add, and just in general take more time to kind of follow these leave no stone unturned, I guess. Is like the coffee is absolutely terrific. And also, first year ever, I know Alan probably wanted to say this, but I'm going to steal it. First year ever we did the Holiday Blend as an instant, and the instant is fantastic. So anyways, I don't know if you want to say something about that, but
packaging on it too, right? Isn't that where
you can see it right next to Alan's head there.
Yeah, that was another beauty of having this team, the Baddy Brigade, as we grow it. This is like, we were in a meeting on a Monday afternoon, and I said, "Did somebody say we were going to do Holiday Instant?" And Alan was like, "Yeah, why not? Let's do it." So I threw it together in a day and had the order outgoing, and we made it happen. And I have to say, I'm actually a little bit of a fan of the instant more than I am the actual coffee. That good, so I recommend it.
They both have this like toasted marshmallow thing going, which again, like of all the flavors you could throw in a holiday blend, like it, I don't know, you can picture yourself like sitting by a fire with it.
The instant is a little more buttery in texture. It's like buttered nuts. It's good. I can't figure out a specific.
You're gonna leave right there. Let's move on.
Yeah.
All so on the buttered nuts, and it just cut out after that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's all it's got, folks. See you next week.
Nothing else recorded before that either. It's me.
Andrew, I know you're the question asker, but I'm gonna ask this one.
Yeah.
So, like, there's all kinds of just chaos happening, like all over the packaging with the holiday blend. Like, obviously, a ton of time and intention went into this. Brad, is there anything that any stories on this you want to tell, or anything that you want to call out that people might not notice?
Yeah. So I mean, we've done bags every year in the past, and Philip, if he had his way, would put every single thing that we did in a box.
This year it's a box.
So
you see that
the box this year.
There he is.
Oh, sorry. When did I leave you?
It's fine. I said, and this year it's a box because you cut.
Oh yeah,
but you're good.
This year it's a box. The beauty of having a box is we can wrap it around completely. So as you start to turn, you see the snowman finish, and when I create illustrations and whatnot with character design, it's similar to how you conduct a storybook. So I've got characters in position that highlight certain features like the text, and also kind of just balance things out color wise. But as you wrap it around, you've got this little guy. He's just watching the world turn.
I think he's my favorite one.
Out of all the chaos, somebody's got to be enjoying this, and this guy's just got destruction written all over him. And then as you wrap around to the back, one of my favorite things is this is a teeny tiny Philip. In fact, he's even dressed the part today. He's got the little glasses and little beanie and a little bit of stubble down here that none of the other gingerbread men have. So, and as you open him, he's actually the first thing you see here too. So,
there he is.
Did you even know that, Philip?
I knew. He said he was. He said he showed me the one on the outside. I didn't know I was on the inside too.
On the lid.
Easter
egg Philip gingerbread man.
Yeah, and I think what we talked about. We've been talking about the box for a while, and I think the idea of a box and holiday season and being able to open a box, it just feels almost too right.
Even got a little tag on top, like it's being gifted to somebody. It says "with love from Perk." So
I love the turn in half. So there's half of that person. Is there another? Oh, there's his other half. Okay, gotcha.
His top half's up here on the top, and his bottom half's down here on the bottom.
Nice.
Well, I like the idea that like 30 years from now, there's going to be an eBay seller who's got like 20 years of Perk holiday boxes that are going for like $5,000 because the first 5 years nobody knew to collect the Perk holiday boxes. The Frost Gobbler's worth $1,000, and now I hope I inspired somebody to do that.
Next year we got to make plushies. Like we got to make little stuffed Frost Gobblers to put in every box.
Nice.
With and then like ripped up gingerbread man too.
Oh,
and the bag that comes in.
Yeah.
There you go. And then the bag that comes in the box is also fully branded, right? And and so there's really, let's see if we can see the bag too.
Similar to the box.
Yeah.
Like all of our bags, we've got the transparent sides, but these are featuring gingerbread men.
Oh, that's cool. The Philip one on that side with the glasses, or is that a different one?
Yeah, he's in the middle.
I need a little bit more of a belly next time. I don't know.
I don't find it accurate.
We don't have any plus size gingerbread men on there.
So
Just
not
something
this
one-
year.
post
one
New Year's
sentence.
resolution.
Yeah, it's the motivation. Gotta shave off a few crumbs.
And so the question is not what is your favorite flavor. It's specifically you as a character and the coffee as a character.
Man, that's a tough question.
It is a really tough question. You can skip that question by handing out your social security number. I'm just kidding. You wouldn't be able to skip your question. That would just be foolish.
Brad is the instant Brazil.
I'm easy.
You're fast and easy.
Yeah. Fast and easy was my nickname in high school. I think it might be the Papua New Guinea that we have on right now. Something about that coffee. It's, it has multiple sides to it. I can, depending on how well I know you, I can be extremely fruity and outgoing, or I can be kind of more reserved and lean into those sweet chocolate notes. So
nice.
I like that. That's a good answer.
I like it.
I like that. It's a tough one to get on the spot, and being the one who asks the question, I still don't know what answer I would give. So,
or on decaf. I'm always tired.
Or decaf because I'm honest. That's the truth. All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on that you feel is important to get out to the people, to the world? That
the only thing I'll say is get it while it's hot because they're going fast. Holiday Blend is quickly dwindling with all of our big deals, and so I'd say get your hands on it before it's gone.
Oh, there's also I saw you drinking out of the mug. Sorry, I totally forgot to highlight that.
Yeah, we've got the complete set. We've got the ceramic and the fellow mugs, but we have already sold out of 2/3 of these within a couple weeks. So I had to grab my hands on several of these before they were on.
Yeah, and you can get them in a box set too. So if you're interested in all things gifty, check us out. Or, do something nice for yourself.
Oh.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Or don't, but watch out. Watch out. Yeah. We'll find you.
The Frost Gobbler will
find you. Running tail back. I don't remember that meme. I don't remember what that was. It's like
I'm not good with memes. I don't know.
Man, it's like
I almost never understand them. I don't know. I need to go to meme school.
I'll have to send it to you when I can find it.
I don't understand. What is a cat and cheeseburgers? I don't get it. I have no idea. Do y'all understand it? I has cheeseburgers? It makes no sense to me. That's the only one I remember. But isn't that like the classic one? I don't understand it.
The one that always gets me now is shrimps is bugs. And I don't know why, but it makes me laugh every time.
Man,
that at least makes
reminds me
sense.
How out of touch I am with culture.
I will.
I need my kids to grow up. So
it is bussing.
But last night, Levon was telling me some slang for booty. And he was saying it, and it was just it sounded like a grunt. It was like splash, and I was like, he was like, that's what you call booties, Dad. And I was like, oh, really? And he was like, yeah, but if somebody asks it, you say something else.
That's not what it means. Yeah.
Somebody on this that watches this.
All right. Well, before it gets too off track, thanks for listening, everybody, and goodbye, world.
See ya.